Oh my gosh! When's the last time we did this?
Feels like forever ago now. Huh?
Like forever. I've been, as you guys know, I've been away for a bit now, and it feels like I lived a whole separate life.
Your fault.
I'm back. Well, folks, welcome. Valiant Tldr. I don't remember how to introduce this show anymore, but it's a show where we actually take a deep dive into Valiant universe. And it all began when Jason and I were hanging out at the Hard Rock, and Newell was lucky enough to sit in between us as we geeked out about Valiant. And when we brought our conversations online, we asked for a fresh pair of eyes, and that's why Newell is here to offer that. But today is a very, very special show. We are going to dive into the current Valiant era, which is called Valiant Beyond. And it's interesting because we're all new, fresh eyes for this one. And so I'm sort of excited, kind of mixed feelings. How are you feeling, Noel? How are you feeling, Jason?
I was excited.
Did we do spoilers yet? I mean,
Let's not spoil it yet. I think it'd be good for us to kind of take it title by title, and then maybe at the end we could do like a full-on recap as to our feelings to it all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, so basically, I feel like this is VH2 2.0 type, basically hitting a reset on the characters. If I'm like looking backwards into time now, I hated VH2 then. I still not too fond of it, but there was some highlights in it where, it wasn't as bad as what I felt. I just had a predisposition that this character was a certain way. So maybe that this kind of starts to do that with me. But I don't know. Spoiler, but wasn't too thrilled about it. So.
Well, Jason, for those who are maybe tuning in for the first time and just checking out and hearing about Valiant, it's been a while. So would you mind doing a quick recap of like where VH2 sits in the kind of historical moments of the Valiant franchise?
Yeah, so basically VH would be Valiant Heroes. So when you refer to VH1, a lot of people think about Unity and all the original launch of the series. Jim Shooter, who I'm sure we'll mention at some point during this. He just recently passed at the time of this taping. But so that's that era. So Acclaim buys Valiant, wanting to reuse the properties, and then finally relaunches it. And then that's what starts VH2 or Valiant Heroes 2. It goes bankrupt. Dinesh and company buy it. It becomes VEI. And then at some point, it's kind of murky as DMG kind of exerts authority, and then now into the Alien era of books. It's had its highs and its lows. And so with the Alien books, you'll see that they're actually doing something that, by and large, Valiant is getting away from, by and large, what Valiant has done. Whether it was VH1, here's the premise, this is the story, the continuity. VH2, this is the story and the continuity. VEI, same way. So it's its own little world. And Beyond, it's like, okay, take all those binders off. We're going to have all these multiverses because that's what everybody else has done. So it is different, not to say it's necessarily worse if you're not, already used to this other, but it is different than what a traditional Valiant reader has experienced, even throughout all this time. So, but that's where we're at.
Okay. And, based on where we're at too, before we start the show, you did mention that there is some preface that we should set up this show, because we're going to go over 4 titles today, guys. We're going to be going over the new Ixo Man of War Beyond, the all-new Harbinger, and then we're going to go through the new Bloodshot Beyond, and then the Shadow Man, the Tales of Shadow Man, or something like that, whatever they call it. And so those are kind of the 4 titles we'll be going over today. Us 3 had a chance to get some exclusive previews, and we got to actually read each of the number 1s. But we'll also have some visuals that Ron over at Alien Books provided today as a part of kind of our journey today and going through each of these books. But you did mention there are some kind of preface to things that they've been putting out recently that will help us kind of at least gives us some context as to what's supposed to be happening in the Valiant universe.
Right. Yeah. So as the Valiant was kind of just not putting out even one book a month, Valiant goes with Alien and says, "Hey, I need y'all to kind of publish our books." And so they had the resurgence of the Valiant universe, and it was this whole crossover thing. And the big story was basically that Dr. Silk had figured a way of how to negate death. So he had all these people on his side. They bring back, again, another non-trope with Valiant was when people died, they stayed dead. So he brings back people that have been dead in the VEI continuity. So he has a certain number of heroes there. Well, Ivar the Time Walker goes throughout time picking up people to fight against Dr. Silk. And so they have the heroes versus the heroes, essentially. And so it was kind of an interesting premise. You had Rye, who is typically in the far future, now back fighting Bloodshot and the like. So this is the end title. And so as things are wrapping up, basically they destroy the machine that Dr. Silk had built, and it splintered everything. And so they were launched into all these various universes. So, Carl, you might recognize that photo.
Oh, wow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So,
nice.
If it was me, I would take a picture of this and put it on a very special piece of art as another place it's published. But anyway.
Scan picture. I'll take it.
Right. And so you got a hint of what was to come in this book. When Shadow Man runs into, that's right, that's VH.
Is that Vin Diesel?
No, that's VH2 Shadow Man.
Oh, that on the right is VH2 Shadow Man.
Yeah.
On the left? Who? Wait,
so this was the current Shadow Man.
Okay.
And then this was the VH2 one. And so they kind of go, what in the world? So basically they set the premise that, hey, VH2 can exist out here. This other stuff can exist out here. It all can exist, and we're just going to play in whatever world we want to play in. So that was the whole premise. Now, these first 4 books really, at least in these issues that we're going to cover today, seem to say, hey, we're just going to drop a whole bunch of Easter eggs. So if you're a Valiant guy, you'll catch the Easter eggs throughout the books. But by and large, it's just a reset. It didn't feel like, in other words, Arc, when we get to Exo, it's not the one we know. It's not the Arc.
Right.
No, it's very interesting overall. I mean, just the approach that this whole thing took. So shall we get to it? Like, should we start off with maybe Bloodshot? I mean, that's the title that most people are familiar with.
Sure. And it's probably had the most iterations even since the DMG era. He's had a lot of stuff centering around the movie and various other things. So,
I mean, the cover is interesting because it's almost like he's Terminator for some reason. There's like this metal bone. There's like these melting in different places. So
kind of Deadpool vibes too.
Yeah. So so as I said, there was a lot of Easter eggs for Valiant people. There are a lot of stuff I'm like, okay, you stole that straight from a Marvel movie. And with Bloodshot now in the VEI universe, his powers have kind of been ramped up. Like at one, he was made to kill Toyo Harada. If that tells you about like his powers set at times. So seeing him like this, to me, is not very foreign, but I know that we've been kind of premising everything off of VH1, so it would look odd to you. But it's a nice cover.
Yeah, it's nice cover. I also thought the interior art wasn't bad, and they kind of went down a direction of like manga in a way.
Yeah, it did.
But didn't really match kind of the cover. Like, it's very different. And I feel like they are targeting a new audience, and they're giving him a lot of new powers because obviously, if you guys can't tell, there's a very young kid here, and all of a sudden, his chest is revealing, and it's shown that Bloodshot has like Mystique kind of powers, where he could actually transform his body, which I thought was kind of silly.
So that is a VEI thing. So
oh, what? I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah,
shoot.
so he can basically camouflage himself, not to change. Like he couldn't go from like say 6'2" to 4'11", but he could camouflage, like the nanites can camouflage him to make him look different. So that is a VEI thing that they used here.
Well, I thought it was interesting though, because in this part, it's like, how does he become a little kid then, right? It's like, oh, something about how the nanobots were able to store a lot of my body mass in the backpack so that I could appear smaller. And I was like,
yeah,
okay,
a little stretch there, but yeah.
I mean, comic book science, right?
That's right. In the Fred Van, is it Lant or Leet?
I've always assumed it was Van Lent, but I don't really know.
So with his book and with Bloodshot that he just recently done, it was more of like a young adults type book.
Now, when you say book, you mean book like a novel, right?
Yeah, no picture, no funny pictures. And so, so anyway, in there he's more of a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically these are outside of that continuity too. This is Eternal Warrior one. This is the one that I was referencing right here.
Yeah.
But so basically he's like it's like a young adult thing in that book. But
how do you read a book with no pictures, Jason?
It's hard, but if you saw me, you see my shelf with the ladder over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you got books.
I've been a nerd all my life.
So here are some improved images. Thanks, Ron, for providing these today. And here's a second cover. All right, so another image here is actually before the last interior. This whole story, I guess, takes place in Japan, Shinjuku.
Yeah, I thought the art on this one was kind of fun. It's just, I don't know, the premise was a little bit weird. Like, so I don't know, the whole thing with the virus, but then how that immediately led into vampires. I wasn't expecting all of that.
They were doing a lot. They were trying to do way too much with this one.
I feel like I think Newell, you had mentioned it. Like they turned him into Blade.
That's what it felt like.
And I get the whole targeting different readers, and so that didn't really offend me as much. And the vampire thing, if you think about it, with the nanites in his blood, kind of makes sense. It is a thing that they did back that Mike Grell actually wrote back in issue 37 of Bloodshot way back in 1995. So it's not a unfounded premise. But for them, he called it, they got the BS Bloodshot.
Yeah.
little dad joke-ish even for me. So.
Yeah. Definitely dad joke. And yeah, these vampires were definitely very Blade-ish. I don't know what that was all about.
Right. Well, the whole thing felt very Blade to me, because it wasn't like, okay, let's do vampires and now they're spooky, and like they're not going like, the classic horror route. They're going more like Blade, like they're mobsters or they're hitmen or they're, whatever, they're badass fighters who are flashy and whatever. And then Bloodshot comes in and stabs them. And like, even on the cover, he had the like wooden stakes on his belt, and he very, even tried to, like, was dressing like Blade. It felt like,
This one, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand this whole metal skull reveal and the bone reveal. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I think they were just going for like the gore, catch eye cover. But as far as they changed his name in the book. I'm like, why? Which is, they did that when it went from VH1 to VH2, and so that's one of the reasons why I was like, okay, this is kind of reminding me of that, just like new
universe, new Bloodshot, right?
Yep. So, like, kind of, in other words, kind of forget what you know about the character. Just go in there with a fresh set of eyes, maybe
Right.
to a whole different readership. And, in that context, because, since Jeff Lemire, they have not really used Bloodshot and like built on anything. Like, it's always been a rack 'em, sack 'em, shoot 'em up type of a situation. He'll go for like 6-issue miniseries and he's done. They really have not had any kind of backstory or anything added to the character. So this is not a new for this era of Bloodshot. What's up, Mark? But yeah, so this one probably, aside from the EXO, was not my least favorite.
Yeah, this was actually the most legible, and I think simple enough to kind of understand what they're going for. I think my art wasn't bad. I felt like the art was kind of cool. At least it had like a distinct feel. It was it felt like a certain direction. It felt current in a way. It's kind of cool. They're taking some chances here, but I did feel like they were just trying to do too much.
Well, yeah, and I think if it had been presented to me as an original character and not as Bloodshot, I think I would have been a little bit more open to it. And I think it would have been more enjoyable overall. Like, it was a fun story. It was kind of an interesting premise. It just, it's like, oh, this is Bloodshot, but in my head, I'm like, this isn't really Bloodshot. At least not how I know.
Right.
They're definitely playing up the gore. I mean, you look at this guy.
Which I thought that was cool. I thought that that's a cool panel. I like that.
I agree. Even this, like, eyeballs popping out. So it's like very intentional in making sure that they deliver gore.
Yeah.
Story-wise, I literally last week. I don't remember what the story is really.
He was shooting people with wooden bullets.
Yeah.
They were basically saying, hey, setting up who his villains are, right? The vampires. These kind of vampires actually hate darkness rather than light.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Yeah.
Strange.
More weird comic book science.
Like, it's
if
like,
if they go into darkness, they die. Like, what?
Can we just go to like classic vampire thing? Why do we have to have sparkly vampires?
Well, and then this whole issue felt like it was all set up. Like, it was a lot of exposition and a lot of how, like, who he is and how his nanites like turned into a virus and how the virus created vampires and then the offshoot vampires that explode in the dark or whatever. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and so like we said, as weird as this one was to us, it wasn't like the most. It wasn't the worst one.
No, it wasn't the worst one. I think this is one of the better ones out of the four. So
yeah. When you think of the story premise, the art, yeah,
it definitely felt like there's some kind of silly aspect of things as well. You kind of had later in the book they incorporate this whole kind of Daredevil. Him going talking to the priest kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there was some purpose because he ends up, spoiler alert, he drinks some holy water, which is another thing. A weapon by pissing on a vampire and melting him. And I thought that was kind of silly. And I think if it was a Blade comic, it actually will work better than a Bloodshot comic, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. So that's that. We'll come back later and do some ratings, maybe across the board. But I think we all can agree this not the worst of them.
Yeah,
not the worst of the not great stuff.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at the all new Harbinger.
Oh boy,
I'm very critical of this one because for me, representation of Archer and Armstrong is so important.
Yeah,
and it does not do it justice at all. So, Newell, you want to do us the honors and talk about the approach with this Harbinger series that they did here?
I didn't really get what they were going for with this one, so I guess the Harbingers are supposed to be like all of they're supposed to be like the world's superheroes, right? Almost like Avengers type level. Mm-hmm. And this issue has them responding to an alarm that goes off, and you see each of the characters like getting ready to go respond to it, and kind of like getting a glimpse into their lives and stuff. And Peter, who was Sting in the original, right? He's like the leader, but he's this like almost felt like a religious type leader, and but I don't know, man. It was confusing, and I'll be honest. I kind of like maybe 3/4 of the way stopped reading and just was flipping pages because I wasn't feeling it, you know.
Yeah. And so this one to me was kind of surprising because Fred, I guess Steve Orlando too, familiar with their two writings other than the other people. Not to say that they're better, I'm just having seen others or read other stuff that they've done. And Fred wrote at least one series in VEI of Archer and Armstrong. Okay.
Oh, really? Which one?
The volume 2.
Okay, volume 2.
Yeah. And then the 1%, which is kind of a spinoff of the sect, you know, the people that chase Armstrong all the time. So I'm thinking, okay, he's dealt with Archer before. The whole thing where you would see where they would put in like this sub block that says, you know, kick, you know, to mean like a diction. It was like a dictionary insert.
Mm-hmm.
They did that all throughout that series. So I kind of got those vibes there.
Oh.
And then of course y'all probably saw some people that y'all do not recognize. If you want to scroll back through there, Carl. Yeah, no, keep going. I saw you go through it while I go. Keep going. Go through. All right, right there. All right, so this that girl right there, that's Livewire. So Livewire.
Was she a ninja?
Her and Ninjak are an item.
I remember that. Yeah.
But if you ever read Secret Weapons back in the day, she was the redhead. So her and Stronghold were the two that, you know, Eternal Warrior rescues from Harada, and they're in Harbinger some. Remember when we read the Harbinger?
Yeah.
So they race swapped her when it came to VEI. But Stronghold is in this book. Might have seen him mentioned. And, of course, like you said, you mentioned Peter as well. So it's the whole Harada Foundation or Harbinger Foundation. So it's like, I don't know where that puts Toyo at or not. But
yeah, well, they mentioned Harada, or like there's the one guy that was trying to piss other people off by saying Harada was right.
Where did you get that from, right? The whole Magneto's right thing? You know, yeah. So I felt like there was a lot of, you know, stuff that was, you know, tropes used from other comic publishers in that. Yeah. But
I thought it was funny reading this actually real quick is the all new Harbingers design is the ultimate jumping point. The Valiant Beyond line of comics are absolute must reads. So they used the Marvel Ultimate line and the DC Absolute. What they're doing here with Beyond, I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, and so like if you know if you're trying to separate yourself in a world full of noise, like where Marvel dominates and DC's just trying to get a toehold, if you want to separate yourself in the world, it's like, hey, if we can't beat them, join them. I mean, does that all the time work? I don't think.
Yeah. Hey, Carl, I just noticed when you had the text page up there that main cover's by Bella.
I know. I just saw that. Like,
that's awesome.
This was I was like, I recognized the art kind of, but I didn't know it was her. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
mean, it's even more awesome when I feel like she's giving better character design. I'm not a fan of this. It's just Archer. Like I paused on that one page earlier, is because I love Archer. He's like one of my favorite characters, and you know, his design is so distinct as Barry Windsor Smith had him to be like the Archie with the, you know, the little monk and like wearing sneakers, but like, what is this? Like, this looks like some like Captain America Jr. or something. I don't know what they're trying to do.
You know, strange. I think that there's Marvel has a book now called The New Champions or something like that, and there's kind of like a youngish Captain America, or no, he's like a Captain Marvel, but he's like a teenager or whatever, and it kind of reminds me of this design. So yeah, it's definitely like stereotypical like teenage hero sidekick kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be a leader, so it's kind of strange, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't really. I didn't really get how he fit into all of this either, you know. Like it.
So yeah, I mean the thing with VEI, Archer is shown as being a harbinger, and so you know the power makes sense, but he really doesn't never have that much interaction with them, so it just felt like an oil and water mix, that type of a deal. He's never been like that kind of a leader, you know, of leading a team, you know, him and, you know, Armstrong, or, you know, the buddy comedies. So it didn't seem like it fit, but it to me, and it could be that they are indeed trying to get a totally different readership than what I'm used to, or what that appeals to me. Kind of like what we were saying with Bloodshot. Maybe they're just saying, hey, let's have teen-looking heroes. This will appeal to teens. So
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, you know, we didn't really like these that much. Are we the grumpy old comic book guys?
Dude, we sound like it, huh? Oh my gosh.
I feel like I'm giving as honest of an opinion as I probably ever have, versus the guy that says, "Oh, this is just total garbage. Just get out of my face."
Yeah, I think we're being constructive. I think. Well, I don't think we're being too. Yeah, we're being too offensive.
We're trying.
Yeah. I think we're being constructive. Sure, I think so, because I feel like the essence of what we know Valiant has, like, is just, I'm not sure what's carried alongside to this. And one of the things about, you know, Archer, why he's so cool is he's always been a little naive, right? Like, he believes the best in people. And I feel like this image here, I love Bella, don't get me wrong, but this image doesn't say that. This says, I'm a badass, look at me, you know? And it's just kind of weird, like, totally out of character for me in what Archer represents.
Well, and I'm kind of glad that you threw Harbinger in there, because, spoiler alert, it was the worst of them all. And to me,
me too. It was unreadable, kind of like Newell. I actually wanted to say, like, you did better than me. About halfway through, I started checking out, because I just I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, and that's why what I said earlier about Fred having read other stuff, you know, I'm like, well, I know he can do some decent stuff. I mean,
he was back in. Do you remember when Amazing Spider-Man, they did the One More Day story, and then after that they had the Brand New Day, which is the big new initiative, and they had what they called the Spider Trust, and there was like a group of writers and artists that kind of rotated out, right? Fred Van Lent was one of the guys that was writing Spider-Man at the time, and I really enjoyed, you know, that era of Spider-Man. I thought everybody that was working on it at the time was great, and I mean, I think he helped create like new characters and stuff that, you know, Marvel's still using today. So like he's a talented writer. He knows how to do stuff. That's why I question how much, you know, the writers were given the freedom to do what they wanted versus they were told, like, here, go in this direction, you know?
Right.
Wow, wait a minute. I'm just looking at these covers. Does it mean they, like, made Archer's power literally Archer? Like, he's like Hawkeye?
Sure looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Give him new power.
No.
Because he's never had no iteration has he ever exercised this kind of power.
It almost makes me think of like the comic version of Yondu too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's that girl remember the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon back in the day?
Oh God, I can't think of her name.
Oh, yeah.
And she would pull that out.
Yep.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Wow. Archer has the literal, like, electric Archer thing going on here. That's freaking hilarious. All right, let's move on. This is
next.
Next.
Okay, so this one, I didn't even know, and I know Jason, maybe you can like fill us in a little bit, but this one is so like out of left field to me because I haven't read any of the stuff between VH1 and now, and so like it felt like it almost felt like they were trying to do like a Sandman kind of thing, you know, like the way that Morpheus is like Dream, the Lord of the Dream Domain, and that kind of thing, you know, like Shadow Man is the master of the shadow world or whatever, or another Bella cover.
Oh, they really use Bella, huh? Bella rocks.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. I like that one.
I like that one too.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It was just really weird, and I felt like they didn't give any real context to a lot of this stuff. They're just like, okay, here's Shadow Man, here's this world that he's in, and he's going to go to New Orleans, and like they don't explain like why he would go there, why he has ties to that. You know, he finds the saxophone, and then it ends with him asking like, I need to know who Jack Boniface is, and so like we all know who that is because he was, you know, the original Shadow Man, but like
actually VH2 implemented or came up with, and Dinesh kept over. And so basically it's like the world of the dead. And so at various iterations of Shadow Man, he's been in and even trapped in the world of the dead. Jaunty, the little monkey, and all that, those are all characters from the arbiters that he meets in the end. That's a whole like group. If you remember like Nettie back in the day, a woman. Okay. So like the arbiters are basically like a mystical group that's supposed to protect the Shadow Man and watch over him.
Okay.
And so basically a lot of Easter eggs there, but you can still tell that they're basically hitting reset on this. The costume was somewhat of a newer design. I wasn't against
it. But they
it.
kept the men's room sign part.
Yeah. But the whole thing where like it looks like his head's on fire, kind of like Sunspot or that's been done before. So again, it wasn't Shadow Man was probably the one that deviated the least.
Okay, that's what I was getting ready to ask. You would say that this one kind of hewed more toward what's been done before than the others.
Yeah. You could still tell that they were just piecing a bunch of stuff together, but they were at least taking some of the tones from it. Like, of course, he's trying to figure out who he is, as we know him to be. His call back to the saxophone and jazz, which is interesting because if y'all read the free comic book day for Transformers.
No. I missed that.
So the free comic book day, the Autobot Jazz finds that he likes jazz. Which is kind of where he takes his name. He's like, oh, jazz. And Shadow Man does the exact same thing in this one. He hears him playing. He goes, ooh, jazz.
Yeah. Is this jazz?
Yeah. And so I'm like, they just did that, but you know, which came first? Who knows? But
yeah.
Yeah, and so the whole dead side, him ruling the dead side, because he's fought Master Dark and trapped him in the dead side before. And like I said, Jaunty's kind of the little monkey rather is the one that kind of leads him back and forth.
I didn't understand the whole monkey part, so I'm glad that you're explaining that.
Yeah.
Of all four, like this one and Ixo probably kind of ties in like feeling more familiar, meaning like they're still trying to have some essence of what the characters are about.
See, I thought this one was one of the more confusing ones.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's like it's so different. Because like I said, I only really know the Jack Boniface version of the character, you know, and this was just so like I had a hard time like connecting the dots. Like, how would we get from Jack to this? You know what I mean?
He was Sandman, basically. That's right.
Right. Like he like the talking cat basically reminded me of the bird Matthew, you know, and stuff like that. Like there were a lot of elements of trying to turn him into, you know, the Dream King or whatever, that version of Morpheus. That's how I felt. Now, I thought that the art was pretty decent in this one. I thought that it was appropriate for like the tone of the story and like the fact that they're in the world of the dead or whatever.
Sorry for that.
Hang up and hang out, Carl. Gosh.
But
Yeah, I don't know. It was just really weird, and it's one of those things where like, okay, they're throwing a lot at you, and then they ended on that like cliffhanger, almost mystery, like who's Jack Boniface, and we're like, aha, and that's like the thing for if you've read it before, if you know a little bit about Shadow Man, that's the part that you latch onto, right? And like that almost made me want to read more, but not the rest of it. You know what I mean?
It did make me want to read more. I'm kind of curious. That was
Yeah,
kind of
I want to see how they tie it back into the rest of it, right? But
well, yeah, and so of course, Justin Jordan wrote some Shadow Man, and then there's been several iterations, and more recent history. Colin Bunn was writing Shadow Man, and it was the most serviceable title. Not to say it was great, but it was the most serviceable title that Valiant was even coming out with.
Colin Bunn is one of those guys. He's prolific. He writes a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hit or miss, right? He's written some really good stuff, and he's written some stuff that's just kind of, very generic, if you will, So I mean, I could see where, given the right title, if this one was a good fit for him, I could kind of see that,
Yeah, and now that you say that, I think that it was serviceable because I feel like he's more of a good horror writer.
Yeah.
But as a character like Shadow Man, that kind of fits. But I don't think he went hard enough. And that might have been an editorial thing. But I feel like he could have went a lot harder on Shadow Man. It would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So, but again, I think everybody seems to agree that the tone, the art, the writing, given a couple other explanations, probably makes the most sense of the four that we read.
Yeah. Like this is one that, so, like I like to read new books. I read a lot of new comics all the time, like if the premise sounds good, I'll give it a try. Of all the ones that we read, I feel like I'd be done after the first issue, except maybe this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one had enough of like a little hook that I was like, okay, I kind of want to know more.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I was going to say that too, that I think I would want to continue this one just to see what the heck is happening, because it is a different side of Shadow Man that I haven't seen before, and it's almost like we're now kind of following him from the spiritual side of it all, and I'm kind of curious, what that means. So it's pretty cool.
Yep.
All right. So last but not least, Exo Man of War.
This one was crap.
First of all, the armor is just unrecognizable, but this cover.
Well, I felt like there was one. I don't remember which page it was, but there was one image in the book, in particular, that I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. They're going for more like Roman centurion type armor, And I get it, but I don't know, man. This one's just. It's like, oh, here's your character. He's a big dumb barbarian guy. It felt like, Kirkland's Conan, basically. But it's set in the far future. I think it's meant to be Earth. Maybe it's some other planet, but they're talking about like the Earthborn and how like people from Earth are scum. They're shitty to everybody else, which, but like, it was so weird. Like, oh, he's a barbarian. He's been around for thousands of years, and he has this like armor that's kind of cool, but they only show it really the one time in that one scene in the middle of the book. And then he fights this weird wrestler dude from the future named Dr. Demolition.
Great name, right?
Right. And I just like, I don't know what was going on. It was weird. And I felt like they were trying to be a little bit like Mad Max, but also a little bit
Mad Max.
But like future Mad Max, like I don't know, man. It was weird.
Yeah, and so I've said that, like, if you ever want to read a long story form of Exo and how to build a character, Robert Vendetti's Run, which is volume 3, is the one to do it with. And basically the whole story, where the part of the story where he got his hand cut off, so like in VH1, it was his buddy that got his arm cut off, but then when they relaunched it was his hand. So he always had the armor on his hand. So he has a normal human hand here, so that's kind of gone by the wayside. And don't know if y'all caught the punks. You know how they mentioned the punks in the story?
Mhm.
That's an Easter egg. So Punks was a story written by Keith Giffen back in the Acclaim days, and it was a parody of Harbinger. So yeah, so that was a nice little Easter egg there. But yeah, now that you mentioned the thing with the Roman centurion, the whole staff thing,
Yeah,
makes more sense. The way it's kind of morphed, makes more sense. Some great covers, that one by Ariel Alvaletti, but
yeah, they got some really killer artists on the covers. Ariel, the Noel Grego one, like good stuff on the covers, man.
Yeah, even if it's like not the armor that I'm used to, because the armor is kind of slightly shifted over the years.
Sure.
But this is kind of a far cry. I didn't hate on it.
Yeah.
But that's probably because there were worse parts of this story than the armor.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it just, you know what the problem is? Like for me, all the like visual design elements were out of place. So you kind of start with this like Visigoth, like you think you're in like ancient times, whatever. Then you have like a kind of alien. The armor itself is not alien. It feels more like modern day, like a firefighter's outfit or something, you know. And then you go into this weird Mad Max alien guy who's like, you know, like this guy, right? Who looks like.
And then there's the scene where he was dreaming and talking to the woman that wouldn't show him her face.
Yeah,
like
so weird. It's just so sync out of time, and like the inconsistency really throws me off because I don't really understand what they're trying to do.
It's another one of those ones that makes me wonder, like, were they really just trying to throw as much at you as possible as a first issue, and then trying to get something in there to hook people, and then maybe they'll go back and like the next issue and maybe like slow down a little bit and try to explain it more. I don't know, but I don't know if this was good enough that I want to read another issue. You know what I mean?
No, I mean it was not a hook. It was unhook. It's like completely unhooked me from XO. I fully disengaged. I mean, I read it. It's very fast. It's all visual. He's like a dumb Visigoth, whatever. But it's just what he went through. Like, a lot of times you want a protagonist that are making decisions or are moving through the story, and he's making these choices, but it's just random, like random shit's just happening to him, and then there's any origins as to how he got his armor. He just becomes that way, like Venom, and so it's very strange.
Yeah, surprised they didn't throw the ring back in there as another Easter egg, going back to the VH1 days. Sky's Cavern Library mentions, I wish they continue the VH1 continuity and keep the legacy numbering. That might be a nice thing. And see where they had left off with this, they kind of just threw out there, well, maybe that's going to happen. VH1 continues on. Maybe VH2 does its own little thing. And if you're more of a new guy, you're going to have some stuff there. And so it's like, okay, maybe I can buy into that, and I'll just kind of, lend to this world instead of the other stuff. But that's starting out. That's not what they did at all.
So, Jason, from what you hold in your hand to what we're looking at now, was there some major staff changes in between? Because that could be a big reason sometimes.
That could be it. I don't know. I mean, the script was done by Fred Van Lint on this.
Oh, interesting. So he's still involved. Was there an editorial change?
Lisa Hawkins is gone. I know that much.
Oh yeah, because right now it's this guy Matthias T. Marchi. Oh, I met him. So I met him from Comics Pro, and he was the sales guy. He was the sales guy for books.
So Lisa was really reaching out to the Valiant community and stuff like that. And did she go? Did she go to work for Dinesh, or who did she go to work for? She went to work for somebody else.
I don't know,
because I remember seeing something on her Facebook page to the effect of, hey, they're like, oh man, we hate to see you go. But so maybe that's it.
Where did she go? Valiant interview. Let's see. She's still in her LinkedIn profile. Says editor-in-chief at Alien Books. Oh, that's interesting. She was 5 years editor, and then she was a teacher before that. That's interesting. So it didn't look like she had much comic books background. She came from teacher and community relation manager at Doctors United, and then went right into senior editing at Valiant Entertainment. That's interesting.
Hey, look, they had Heather Antos editing stuff, so if she can, anybody can.
Wow.
But let's see. I was looking on here. Yeah, it's just this is the story about her being out at Alien and Matthias in. She was on Facebook. Let's see where she is.
I mean, yeah, it looks like they're really kind of copying the content as well, because each of them has their own kind of like character design cover.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like for the Harbinger, Archer is kind of like the main
Well, and so I don't know. Do you guys know, like, the Harbinger one was black and white? Is that just it was unfinished, or is it going to be like that? Like,
I don't know.
I have no idea. Okay, so let's go through it. I mean, since we went through all 4 issues, I don't know what's a good scale. We have the Torok scale and the Stingray meter. But, you know, I'll kind of go through one by one. We'll kind of start. Why don't we go backwards? I mean, I guess just based on the 4, these new character designs, any highlights, lowlights across, and how would you rank, you know, from best to worst?
I mean, Shadow Man looks the best, hands down.
Yeah. Visually looks the best. Okay.
Yeah. Exo's not bad. Bloodshot looks like Bloodshot.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
more hair, more facial hair.
Yeah. And then, you know, you've got teenage wannabe Captain America, or, you know,
this is the worst. For me, this was full on bottom below the bottom. Like, this is in the depths of hell. Valiant hell. I'm sorry, dude. I love Archer, and this. What is this? You know? Look, classic. Limited change to classic. Let's change it to a Disney Captain America shirt merch.
Disney Under Armour.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a Captain America shirt you buy at a Disney store.
Yeah.
So he's cosplaying as Captain America Jr.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't disagree. I think Harbinger to me was the worst of them. Shadow Man being the best. Bloodshot. Bloodshot edges out Exo in my mind simply because I've gotten used to this just thing with Bloodshot versus Exo has kind of had this mythos built out for him that they just kind of just tore all the way down and hit reset on.
Well, and I feel like Bloodshot had potential. It's just that it was kind of a very talky first issue. Like, it was all exposition.
Yeah.
Know? Like, maybe in a second issue, they could just kind of hit the ground running now that they've gotten all of that background out of the way. And it would be more fun and high octane. I don't know. You know, we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yep. Well, and so with the whole deal with Diamond,
oh yeah,
the whole deal with Diamond. So Alien took over the publishing things from Valiant. Well, with the whole Diamond thing came out, now Alien needs, you know, distribution help. So they seek IDW. It's like, wait a minute, IDW is going in the crapper anyway. What do you tie yourself to them for?
Yeah.
It was a move that didn't make sense at all to me. But who knows? You know, talking about, you know, crappy comics, I know one place where you can get better comics, and that's probably 24/7 Comics. Do you know about them?
Oh, yeah. I heard about 24/7 Comics.
That was a great segue.
Let's go with 24/7 Comics. We're actually going to be renovating our website pretty soon. So we just finished Heroes Be Damned. Thanks, everyone, for supporting. It was a fun campaign, and allowed us to introduce us.
You know, I just recently got my Bladesmith.
Oh, nice. Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the campaign before that by Kreese and the crew, Justin, Kellen, and Linji. And yeah, it's been great, man. I think I definitely feel like I've been away and we have a lot more in store. But one of the main things
you've been away sending us feet pics, yeah.
Exactly, feet pics from set. So I'll talk more about that when the time comes. But we're pretty happy with what we shot, and when we get there, it's gonna be a fun one. And we're gonna be promoting the store as well. So for those of you who miss Bladesmith, what Newell just showed you, these are now available on the shop, and so you could actually pick up all your Bladesmith merchandise. These have been very popular.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so these been popular. We sold out the Zero Ghost cards, and then we just restocked on those. And then we have the Heroes Be Damned cards coming soon as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a thing. It'll be fun.
Are they going to be metal too?
They'll be metal as well.
Nice.
Yes. So, folks, I mean, audience, feel free to chime in as we go back to. Thanks for a little plug, Jason. Please do hit subscribe and comment below, folks, as you're tuning in to Valiant TLDR and beyond today. I'll put in my vote, folks. And if anyone has any comments, feel free to share. And so Patrick says, so what I'm hearing is I should stop anticipating these books. I don't know. I think if I was to look at all the books, I think Shadow Man is worth reading. I would buy Shadow Man because I do feel like it's in line with the spirit of Shadow Man. If you're a fan of any of the Valiant universe world, like I would definitely like fall in line with that. Bloodshot, honestly, you know what, and Jason, I thought if they didn't have the whole vampire thing, it would have been not bad because you're going after this kind of manga style. And then EXO is a step away from hell. So it's like, for me, Archer is definitely in like Valiant Hell. This is a step away. I mean, I just feel like
Valiant Purgatory.
Yeah, Purgatory. Just don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know why. Why are you doing this? Like, you have such like a strong foundation of a character, but you
know, and it's funny because I thought the book looked pretty decent, but I don't know.
But for me, even if you look at like here's the character design, but then you go and look at some of these covers, like they're obviously not
great.
But look, he has some of this old school kind of like EXO armor type stuff, but on this one,
there almost looks like
not real spandex.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say he looks like kind of like a '90s, early 2000s X-Men character.
Yeah, you know what? That's what he looks like. He looks like a modern character.
Right. But that cover there, the Ariel Olivetti one, I think is really good. That's a good, strong, just like that could be like an old school paperback sci-fi cover. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
Yeah, like the planet in the background, the ruins, and all that stuff. That one, I just think that one's beautiful. Like it makes me wonder if that is available.
If this wasn't EXO, I would appreciate it more. But
I mean, and to try not to be that old guy that just says get off my lawn, but if we hadn't had like all the history with these characters, it's hard to press reset on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to paperback Dan's deal earlier or question earlier, should have stopped anticipating these. You know, it's one issue. Maybe you got to grab people in that first issue. You know, especially as these things are $4.99 and $5.99 above. You got to give them something wanting to come back to it. Having said that, Valiant fans have been abused over the years. And if you, like me, and have long boxes full of Valiant comics back there in the comic room, I can pick out any era and, say, man, that was just horrible. And I just kind of stomach through it. I had somebody tell me like this because they were an Amazing Spider-Man collector, which there hasn't been a good Amazing Spider-Man story since One More Day, a good run of them. Now there has well, hey, we'll save that for another conversation. Yeah. But by and large, that Amazing Spider-Man being the flagship title should have like the best writers, the best artists all the time. I don't think Marvel's done it. Point being, with that is that with this, you gotta you always stick with the home team. Like, so if you're a fan of the New Orleans Saints, doesn't matter how many Super Bowls they lose or never get to, you're a New Orleans Saints fan. So some of these characters are kind of like that for me. You know, how much abuse will I take? You know, maybe I'm the abused spouse that never leaves their husband till they're dead. But
Oh my God.
But,
Are we the battered women in this scenario?
we're crying out for help, people. Send us good comics.
Yeah, no, I was gonna comment on this cover as well. I actually, okay, I'm gonna take my old man critic hat off. This is a nice cover, but it also could be an Iron Man cover. You told me there's Iron Man.
That one right there, yes, absolutely.
It's a cool cover, though. It's a cool cover.
That almost looks like somebody's trying to channel the Adi Granov stuff of Iron Man. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, or like if you put a little shape to his helmet, it could be Nova too.
Yeah,
it does.
Mr. Dick Ryder.
Yeah, Dick Ryder. That's true. This art is pretty nice, actually. With the
I want to know if if the original art for that is available, because that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, very sci-fi. Yeah.
He's shown it on his Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I have emailed him because I bought art from him before.
Yeah.
And I never could. I don't know if he changed his email or it just fell in the spam bucket. But I need a comment on one of his Instagram posts to say, "Hey, check your email."
This is the attempt to look like the original XO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is that the Noel Grego one? Yeah, I think so. Can you zoom in on the bottom right corner there? Yeah, that says Noel Grego. Yeah. Okay. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea what that is. Who is that?
He did, I think, the most recent set of Marvel masterpieces.
Oh, really? That's kind of cool. So they did kind of attempt to get a lot, kind of some covers into retail. I mean, that's kind of the thing too. I went to Comics Pro, and one of the major feedback for us is a lot of the retailers were telling us that you guys don't have enough variant covers, and so it was from the beginning for me like to not play that game. But it sounds like if you want to be in retail, that's the only game. That's what I learned. So it seems like they're doing a pretty good job with that. But actually, real quick, Paperback Dan, thank you so much for supporting Zero Ghost. And yes, the metal cards are very popular. I have a stack of them here. I basically decided to just keep collecting them. And so I have the Zero Ghost and the Bladesmith so people can see what they look like next to each other. And then when the Heroes Be Damned cards come, then I'll have more to add to the stack. It's pretty fun. All righty. So we kind of voted on our, I guess, the depths of hell to almost grounded enough to read, but nothing hit heaven for me. Yeah, it was tough.
I feel like at best we're gonna have to wait and see where these books go. You know what I mean? I don't feel like these were super strong first issues that just pulled me in and made me want to read more.
Great. It's unfortunate. I think it's gonna be pretty tough to be able to gain the traction they need. I think Shadow Man might have a chance because I think Shadow Man fans will definitely tune in.
I'm definitely curious, and I want to read at least one more issue to see how it does.
Yeah, same. I think we should definitely keep an eye on it and see what else is there. I mean, Jason, are you planning to pick up these physically at the shop when they come out, or now that the preview, you gotta fall back?
Because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Normally I have to order these off of mycomicshop.com because my shop doesn't carry them and I'm too lazy to add them to my pull list. But yeah, I mean, I'll just rack up on them and read them more like a trade. Talking about Valiant stuff, you see what else I got in the mail?
Oh, wow. What is that?
The Valiant role-playing game.
Oh. You gonna roll some dice?
Roll some dice. Hey, Arelis, how's it going?
Yeah, so this is the Transcendence Edge, the main guide. I got it over there. But yeah, I picked up some art from Tom Rainey at Heroes Con. He actually had this cover here. I didn't get it. I got another one. But he said, well, I don't know if they've ever published it or not. So I knew they had. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Got all the rules as you would expect in this kind of a guide.
That's fun. Any other pickups? I guess we could transition to our show and tell segment. And I haven't picked up anything. I've been like last 8 weeks. I've been on another world, so I'm literally just returning to life right now. So.
Well, Newell just showed something off. It's not Valiant related, but he just shared it out. Like you got that? Newell?
Newell, come on.
Which one?
The one you just showed on IG.
What did I just post on IG?
12 minutes ago?
12 minutes ago. Bro, you posted something. So.
Oh, no. It was Felix posted it, actually.
Yeah, Felix posted it.
Okay. You posted a Stingray?
Yeah.
By who?
Nick Darrington.
Oh, interesting. You were just talking about it too.
Well, yeah. So apparently, right after OAX, like that week, like the last week of January, Felix opened up a commission list for Nick, and it is the first time he's ever taken a commission list in his career. And I love his art, and I was like, I have to get in on that. And so Felix has been posting the commissions recently. He just happened to post the Stingray one like a few minutes ago.
Interesting, right? Timely during our show.
Yeah.
Really, is not coming up on my website for some reason. Maybe my computer's allergic to Felix, but
that's understandable. You're welcome. Yeah.
So literally, it's not coming up. I don't know why. So. I'm trying. Yeah. My computer is not feeling it. But you should definitely, once you get it in hand, we'll do a physical.
Oh, for sure. It's beautiful.
Any other pickup, guys? I mean, how about content consumption? Have you guys watched anything recently? I just saw Superman last night.
Oh, did you?
All right. How was it? Scale of 1 to 10.
Wow. I think it's like a solid 8.8.
Okay.
Yeah, solid. I think I was very impressed. I went in with extremely low expectations. I want to curb it because I'm a fan of DC, but it's been so disappointing for so long. But I would say Gunn took a swing toward a different direction. I would say as comic fans, there was a few things that he stole back from other books that had stole from Superman, which I thought was pretty smart. It was kind of a cool way to do it. And then, but there was a few topics in the way he approached things that I didn't like. I would say one that's already kind of on the news, so I'll talk about it. But I'm just not a fan of politics and movies. I feel like we're watching these things to escape the world, not to double down on it. Are you one of
those people that thinks we should take the politics out of comics, Carl?
Yeah, actually, politics out of everything. Actually, I think we should just let it be escapism. Let's get away from the world and talk about. But to be fair, it was very tastefully done, and it was very forgivable. I think it was only a point. Like it would have been a 9.8 if not for that. To be honest, for me, I took a point off though. Like for it, it felt like it was necessary. I think it's cool context because you get it right away and it paints this big picture. But to me, I'd rather escape more. But the characters were well developed. I felt like it put like a lot of it gives me a lot of hope for the DC universe on what's to come. I'll say that. And then walking out of theater, it made me feel even worse about missing out on a Superman cover this last weekend during Heritage Auction because I was like, damn it, I love that cover and I missed that. I slept right through it all.
Wait, which one did you miss?
There was this Jim Lee Superman.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that one earlier.
Oh, sad. That was such a great cover.
If you don't have enough Jim Lee already?
I just have one.
But it's a really good one.
Coming soon, guys. For show and tell.
Okay, I was going to say, have you showed that one yet?
No, not yet. Actually, I'm picking it up in San Diego, so I'm pretty excited about that. Have you guys seen Ironheart?
No, not yet. I've not heard anything good about it.
Yeah.
It's tough, but the last episode also gave me a lot of hope for the Marvel universe because you introduce a new character. This character played by a great actor, and
is it the character that people have been saying is going to be in the Marvel stuff for a long time that finally showed up?
That one.
Yeah.
The guy who came from where the guy who came from where Archer went. Yeah. So yes, that character really good. Like kind of a cool thing. So pretty excited about that. Real quick, let's look at the comments. Dan, will heroes be damned? Physical backers get a metal card as well. I don't know. I think you might get a Bladesmith one, but I'm not sure yet. Let me check with the team. And Arilla says the metal cards are embossed. Yes, they are embossed. They're super amazing. We want to keep them consistent and high quality. And they're actually really fun to play with in hand. I've been holding on to this deck this whole time. Just
but that's the fidgety Magic card player in you.
It is. So you've been playing a lot of Magic. So what's up, Noel?
Not a lot, but I played for the first time in a long time over the weekend.
I mean, the biggest hype right now is the Final Fantasy decks. I mean,
yeah. So, me and my buddies that were playing, we took a little field trip in the middle of our day to go to the local Target to see if they had the Final Fantasy decks so that we could grab a couple of them.
And
we managed to get the ones we were looking for. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. I'm surprised because they're like sold out everywhere.
Apparently, they have been restocking them a lot. I've seen pictures online. Apparently, Costco is flush with them. Like if you have a Costco membership and you're looking for the Final Fantasy Commander decks, that's the place to look.
It's insane.
But yeah, so they had the 3 out of the 4. They didn't have the Cloud deck, but they had all the others. And I was looking for the oh my gosh, the Final Fantasy 9 one, or 10, whichever, I don't remember. But it was the green-white one or whatever. It had a lot of cards to do +1/+1 counter stuff. And I took all the cards out of that I liked to put them in my Black Panther deck.
Nice. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to hang out next time. We're all going to play. It's on.
I know you're going to drag me in.
We should break off a commander group and actually play. All right. It sounds like, dude.
Ooh. Who's
that? Was awesome. That was so good when you had that. Actually reminds me too.
Yeah, I thought maybe this was a good segue talking about Heroes Be Damned.
Yes.
So while I was in Heroes Con, I was able to pick this up and get this done with Mr. Dark, done by the artist of Heroes Be Damned.
Vince Unico. And I hope you're happy with that because I especially told him, this is my homie. Please go all out. And I think he did go all out.
Especially
really good.
That I paid for it. Yeah,
it was awesome. So
are we doing Heroes Con stuff? Because I got a few things at Heroes Con if you want to look at.
Dude, I got Heroes Con stuff too. I got one here. Let's see.
I'm surprised you stopped long enough to get anything at Heroes, Carl. I mean, you just flew in and flew out.
I got a pre-commission and I picked this up from Bob, so I shipped this to him, and he did it.
Okay.
But my buckle just fell off just now. I don't know what happened. This thing just fell off.
Oh no!
Yours fall off? Like where?
Oh, you're missing that metal pin.
Oh, the metal pin's gone.
All right, so here's a piece I picked up at Heroes from Anthony. This is a Peach Momoko cover.
Nice. Where's that from?
This is from the Wiccan and Hulkling one shot that they did a few years ago. So that's pretty cool. That's my one Peach that I need for the collection.
Well, and despite what Ruben says,
we really secretly likes her.
Yeah, I think so. He had a lot to say on this last show. I actually have a few things to show too.
Okay, and then I got these couple of Godzilla pages here. There we go. These are from a short 10-page story from the Godzilla vs. Chicago issue by Carolyn Cash. So These are pretty cool. Oh, and then let me go get the big thing real quick. Carl, you show some stuff real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna show something real quick. So basically, I think you guys have seen my Valiant sketchbook before, right? I forgot how far I went. I know I showed the Bart series, right? I showed this, right?
Right.
And then I don't know if I've shown kind of like what happened after Bart. So after Bart, I think I had this Kevin Van Hook. He had his Ninjak, Bloodshot, and Eternal Warrior, which are characters that I think he created or co-created. And then I had Will Quintana, who did Magnus, and
cool,
which is kind of cool, all right? Because there was some bleed over from Kevin on the other page, and then he turned that into a robot. So I thought that was a kind of cool thing. And then I'm sorry, I totally forgot his name. He changed his name. Do you remember this guy? He like lives in Japan. He changed his name to like a one-word name, but I totally blanked out. But he's also a Valiant guy back in the day. But the one I really wanted to show you guys was this one.
Whoa!
Wow!
It's Yev Gucci.
Yeah, Gucci or whatever. Yeah. They did the Shadow Man cover you own.
Dude, I told him I loved what he did for Eternal Warrior 4 because of that story being like the one that took place on Great Wall of China. So
yeah.
He's like, why don't I take a stab at putting Eternal Warrior on the Great Wall again? And I shipped this to him, and this is what he sent back.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sketchbook is getting kind of crazy. So I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid to ship it anywhere now because now I have like one, I have this. So, and before I pass it back to you guys, can I make a cool read recommendation?
Yeah.
I've been pretty consistent with reading books here and there, but one highlight has been Absolute Martial Manhunter. So issue 1, issue 2. I
really like the art in that one.
Oh my god, I love it. Issue 3. I just picked up. Issue 4. I just picked up. So I'm gonna read 3 and 4, but I it's a highly recommended. Like for me, I really like reading it so far.
Yeah. All right, you want to see the big piece that I got at Heroes?
Here you go.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it all on the camera here. So this was my big win at the auction.
Woo! I love that guy.
Guys.
Jonathan Baklava.
Jonathan Mark Sparavecchia and Marty Keene did Spider-Man.
Yeah. Wait, what? Multiple people did this?
Yeah.
What?
The Venom is all Jonathan, and the Spider-Man is all by Marty.
No way. That's pretty sick. Why did you decide to collaborate?
They've worked on comics together before.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
But you can see the boxes, like they both this side, they both put their names on there. And then it even says down here and they hand wrote out like Jam Piece by Jonathan and Marty.
Wow.
Yes.
You got a video when they were drawing it, didn't you? No?
I got a photo of the two of them like working on it at the same time. It was great because basically like Jonathan is down here painting and Marty is up top at the same time, like over top of him. It was really cool.
That's a cool way to get a painting done.
Oh yeah. So it's one of those things where I saw them working on it and this is just such a cool piece. I was like, I have to have it. And so, it was funny because there were several CAF people that were there that are like Spider-Man collectors and they were eyeballing this one. But when they saw me step up, they kind of like stood back and they were like, whoa.
Well, it was funny about that. One of them came over to me at the show and he's like, I said, well, I thought you were going to go for that piece. He said, well, I found out Stingray wanted it, so I backed off. I said, oh, okay, Stingray won it? Because I didn't know who had won it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just knew it had gone because I was sitting over there on the other side. And then I think not too long after that, you ended up posting a picture with you and them on that. So
yeah, and it was funny because like I think it was last week or the week before when Bill did the CAF update, somebody, I didn't know it, but somebody filmed me winning it at the auction.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the big one physically.
Well, I had my own auction, man.
Uh-oh.
That's
Oh, that's right.
awesome.
Yeah.
You remember? One thing that I picked up at HeroesCon that I don't know why I didn't talk about. But
Because you flew in and flew out.
Right.
I did.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Who did that one?
So let me get his name right. It's so he had Andy Bennett.
Okay.
And so he had done. I picked up some stuff from him last year, and I seen this up here. As I gotta go get it. I'm gonna get it framed on my way to the con Friday, but it goes up in the children's room.
Yeah.
So I walked out of the show, and Dinesh is over there, talking to a bunch of folks, and I said, he said, "Oh, let me see what you want." He stopped me. I was on the way back to the room, and he said, "Let's see what you want." I showed it to him, and I had to say, "It is Super Groover," and he goes, "Why do you have to say it like that?" I was like,
Because that's the voice.
Don't click Groover. So all these people start giving all these Sesame Street voices. And,
That's awesome.
and so anyway, so that was a whole nother conversation. But
So when we start franchising, are you going to do a Tickle Me Southern Comic Geek?
oh boy, that tickles.
It's not the birth page of Super Grover.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but
and I did pick up one more thing at
Uh-oh. What else did you get?
So this is also by Vince Sunico, and I had commissioned him to.
Oh wow!
And he did a DPS Wolverine Omega Red.
I'm sure he did that before he got to the con, though, right?
He did before, yeah. He didn't do it at the con. I had commissioned it before, and I was able to get way earlier because I wanted it to be an example for like one of the tiers on. Which, by the way, we have 48 hours left on this late pledge, which is this new thing that they're doing. So if anyone's interested in getting a commission like this level of detail, for a very cheap price, actually, I think there's still one or two available. So pretty.
And speaking of Kickstarter, I wanted to ask you guys: have you seen the ads from the Alien books Kickstarter for like the classic Valiant omnibuses that they're doing?
Yes, for Harbinger, right?
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting as well.
That would be nice to have the old stuff published in a nice volume that's available.
Much better than the current Harbinger that we just reviewed.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and talking about the hardcovers, so they've done a couple of hardcovers before, and they included extra stories in them. So I got a text the other day, Carl, of course you were on it. And I thought it was Newell because it was showed two people and showed Carl. I was like, well, who else was texting me with Carl in there except for Newell? But it was Andre. And he said, hey, if y'all either one of y'all want it, and Carl passed, I was like, well, okay, I'm going to make a deal for it. But so that'll be a future show and tell. But the story that was written by Jim Shooter that was put in the Archer and Armstrong omnibus that they did several years ago.
Hey, David Reese, how's it going? But yeah, here's the Kickstarter. Ron, great guy. He is the director of communications there. He's the guy that also provided all the visuals we have to review today. As you guys can tell, there's already on day one a huge support for this. So definitely come watch the video. Back this. I'm gonna back this after we come out, but I think I don't know. They could keep selling classic Valiant stuff, and I'll keep buying. I mean,
well, and they've done a couple of those now. Alien took over right as Valiant was not going to do the Eternal Warrior Kickstarter that they did. So Alien came through for everybody and finished it, which was great. I was looking to see if I could find it real quick, but they just did this one too, which is Bloodshot, Black, White, and Blood Shot.
Is that the one that Kevin Van Hook worked on?
He did. Yep.
Yeah.
And so Ariel Ovaletti, that's the reason I had emailed him. I mentioned this earlier. Was because he did a whole story of it, and I was going to.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you're a true completionist, huh?
Yeah. So it's a disease, and so yeah, he did the whole story. Probably one of the better ones in there. and yeah, it was pretty dope. But so they've done some good stuff, meaning that, and you would think that if you would do things like that and you get the big response that you do, that's like, hey, let's just keep doing that.
Yeah,
Let's not do this other stuff that we just mentioned earlier, an hour and 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So are you guys gonna back this? Because I am. I'm gonna jump in on this for sure.
Well, I have all the issues, so I'm like,
maybe we'll see.
I mean, if it has some new material in it, I might.
Yeah. Oh no, they're putting this in there.
I didn't mean that kind of new material.
Yeah, please don't mix it up. Let's keep it pure, you know. Yeah, but yeah, I think even looking at this warms my heart because it brings me back to what Harbinger really is about. It's great. Wait, but didn't they sell this already or no?
Yeah, they've had one before.
Yeah, I felt like
the omnibuses that came out just a few years ago. I don't know if it was Alien or somebody else, but
isn't this the first one that I helped you find, Newell? This one?
Yes.
At some random bookstore, right?
Yep, the one in Chicago.
All right, guys. Well, I
think we're landing, and I think just as a quick preview, folks, we're gonna have Jim Calafiore join us in a future episode, and I don't know where we are in our reading at this point. Jason, Newell, do you remember?
It's been so long.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know, but we still need to do Eternal Warrior and Archer and Armstrong, and I'm sure there's a couple others.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple other smaller things. I mean, if you want to do Psi Lords.
I don't even know what that one is.
Yeah. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do Archer and Armstrong to redeem what happened today? Because I need to and just remind me of why I love Valiant again. And then Eternal Warrior would be great. Yeah, let's go with those next.
Okay.
When you're ready to dive in, because I think you've had the books for a while. So we'll be back, folks. We're gonna, our Marines episode is out now. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out on the channel, and then we'll have Mr. Jim Calafiore in, and then we'll come back to you guys with Archer Armstrong. So without further ado, thank you guys for tuning back in to Valiant Beyond TLDR today, and we will see you guys soon.